All right, guys. Good evening. Welcome back. And what is going on? This is the Club of Demand 1993. And I am here live for my live preview and predictions for the fourth edition of AEW All Out 2022. This is taking place this coming Sunday, September 4th, 2022, at the Now Arena in Chicago, Illinois. Same location, of course, as last year's episode of All Out, which was, in fact, one of my favorite pay-per-views of all time. It was an incredible show, incredible night, some incredible debuts we had last year. Ruby Soho, and of course the double debut of Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson at the end. So much more happened as well, but it was definitely a show that really set the bar high. It was in fact a legendary show, and quite frankly, my pay-per-view of the year last year. This year's All Out, I unfortunately am setting my expectations lower for this show. There has been some factors with the bill for this pay-per-view, in my opinion. The first, I would say, is the injuries and the uncertainty of who was going to be ready for this pay-per-view. Such as CM Punk, such as Kenny Omega, such as, of course, the Undisputed Elite, such as, not Hangman, Adam Cole. Well, Adam Cole's not wrestling this pay-per-view either. Several others, but there were a lot of injuries this past summer. And, of course, Thunder Rosa just recently as well. There was a lot of injuries that impacted this show. There's also, of course, been a lot of drama in AEW right now. A lot of people, are getting a little hot-headed and heated with each other, such as Eddie Kingston and Sammy Guevara. A match we were supposed to get on this show, but it got canceled. Of course, the biggest factor, I think, of course, is the fact that the landscape in the wrestling business has changed. You can go back a couple months ago. I said AEW is the place to be right now in the wrestling business. However, of course, we had the big groundbreaking news right before SummerSlam that Vince McMahon retired as chairman of WWE and basically gave up all business operations. Yeah, he is still a shareholder with them, but he's no longer in charge of creative, no longer the chief branding officer either. He's all run the business in general. And of course, who has taken over the creative side of things? No one other than Mr. Paul Levesque, Mr. Hunter Hearst Helmsley. And that has caused a shift in momentum that unfortunately has affected AEW in some ways. And the thing is, I keep saying, is AEW is still good. I still enjoy it. Tony Khan is not purposely insulting our intelligence. He listens to the fans. He loves wrestling. However, more cracks are, forming with the brand. And I'm going to continue to say this. I think the biggest problem is there's too much talent. I know we've wanted all these talents to go to AEW where they would be treated with the respect that they deserve. But it's true. It's too full. There's big names that literally are sitting on the sidelines, or some of these storylines are like only having something going on them like every week or two. The storylines are having a hard time to progress because there's just not enough time. Dynamite's only 2 hours, Rampage is only 1 hour. That's it. You could definitely benefit by making Rampage go 2 hours. If Rampage went 2 hours, the shows more talent would get more opportunities. I haven't watched every single episode of Rampage, but I do see that there's been some talent that have been a little more exclusive to Rampage and some a little more exclusive to Dynamite, which that is okay. But with so much talent, it's not giving you time to build up the stories properly. And of course, just last week we had the head scratching move, having Jon Moxley squash CM Punk in Cleveland, which of course I can see what they were trying to do. Again, having Moxley be like turn to like the de facto heel and try to get more sympathy on Punk. I still don't think that it was the strongest way to book Punk, though. Unfortunately, like how does he re-injure his foot? Then a week later, he's okay to wrestle again. So, and then when you look at this card too, again, 14 matches. There's 14 matches on the show, and it hasn't been made official which ones are going to be on the buy-in, or if any of them are. I've heard rumors about one being on the buy-in, which will be the first match we talk about. But, just like Double or Nothing, a couple filler matches. I hate how they have to do these filler matches on the card, because it's going to make the show longer. And, I'm sorry, the shows don't need to be 4.5 hours long. 3 to 4 hours is okay. More than 4, that's pushing it big time. It really is. But if I'm going to be honest, again, I would, if I didn't have friends who wanted to split the pay-per-view with me, even though I don't know if anybody's going to want to buy with me, I have to end up watching it on like a streaming network or something. I don't think this pay-per-view is worth the $54 if you're paying it by yourself. I don't. There's a lot, after we go through all 14 matches, I want to go through the card. And, don't get me wrong, most of these matches, not all of them, most of them would be good. But I think also most of these, they could have gone away on Dynamite or Rampage. They didn't have to throw it on a pay-per-view. Yes, I get it. You want your cool-down matches. But you also got to understand, you can't also have everybody on the card. I mean, look at WWE. They have a 6 match. They've had 6 or 7 matches on pay-per-views for a while now. Even when Vince was around. And, even some have been good, some have been bad. But you don't have to have 14 matches. That's too many. Way too many for one show. This show, though, I'm hoping it doesn't go over the 4-hour mark, because a lot of these matches really, I can't see getting more than 5-10 minutes. A lot of these matches. Some, of course, will, but not all of them need to be 20-minute matches or 30-minute matches. They don't. So, we'll see what we got. Like I said, my expectations are lower for this show. We could have a few surprises. I think it could be a solid show. I really don't think, though, it's going to even come close to being as good as last year's was. So let's get into it and talk about it. Tyler's joining us in the live chat, as always. Thank you, Tyler. So, the first match that I've heard rumors of that's going to be on the buy-in is this match with Eddie Kingston and Tomohiro Ishii. Now, originally, of course, Eddie Kingston was indeed supposed to fight Sammy Guevara at this pay-per-view. Because apparently, nobody wants to work with Sammy Guevara. He's difficult to work with, especially when he was very difficult when he was feuding with Scorpio Sky for the TNT title. And then, of course, Eddie did get suspended for, I think, 2 or 3 weeks because he got into an altercation backstage with Sammy Guevara over a fact joke he made about him in a promo that he didn't approve with him. They did, be professional about it and, apologize to afterwards, which is cool. But they canceled the match. And Eddie Kingston is taking on Tomohiro Ishii now, which is very random. And rumors it's going to be on the buy-in. First off, I actually would be okay with this match being on the main card. Because it actually could be a pretty solid match, I think. 2 bigger men, hard-hitting. I think it'd be solid. I also still think that they really messed up with Eddie Kingston, having him lose to Chris Jericho in that Shark Cage match. They should have put Eddie over in that match. And if not, it should have led to one more match with Jericho and Kingston. It doesn't quite sit right to me that they didn't have Eddie go over in that feud. He needed to. But I guess it's just for him to I would say easy victory, but to get a hard hit victory. So I think Eddie Kingston does get the victory here on the buy-in, if rumors are correct. Now, this next match has not been rumored to be on the buy-in, but I think it needs to go on the buy-in. Again, you need your filler matches, your cool-down matches. But really, the best you can do is Hook and Angelo Parker for the FTW title. Who gives a crap about Angelo Parker? Like, again, I'm sorry. 2.0 is nothing to me. They're not talented. They're just jobbers in a stable. I don't care at all. Hook, this is a match that, like, even if it somehow ends on the main card, which it shouldn't, it should be on the buy-in. Hook needs to squash like Parker in like 10 seconds. He needs to. He's got to just take him out and move on. Because I frankly don't care about this one at all, definitely. I mean, Eddie and Ishii could be solid. This one, though, I give zero craps about. If there's one match I should even put on this card in the first place, it's this one. So, Hook squashes Parker in like 10 seconds. We can move on from this, right? That right? Okay. I think now we get to the main card. I think we will open up with this match. Because we have, again, one thing I've said I've had problems about AEW pay-per-views in the past. There are so many tag team matches. And like I said before, some of them are just thrown together just to get people on the card. You can't get everybody on the card, unfortunately. But we're having, it's basically an AEW versus Impact match with the TNT champion Wardlow and the AAA, ROH, and IWGP tag team champions, FTR, probably the best tag team of the year, taking on Jay Lethal and the Motor City Machine Guns tag team. Don't really know them at all. Yeah, another match that I think they didn't really need to do. This is just to get them on the card. I'm surprised they didn't do some sort of like TNT title match for Wardlow, especially with how hot he was coming out of Double or Nothing, and going into defeating Scorpio Sky to win the TNT title. So yeah, I'm mad. I don't really care too much about this match either. Like I said, this is probably another match when I go through. I'd probably take off the card, but the faces are going to win. The Wardlow and FTR are going to win just to give them a victory. It could pop a hot start to give Wardlow the Powerbomb Symphony. Motor City Machine Guns, I know, are probably people like I don't know them for at all from Adam and whatnot. So I don't really care too much about this match either. So yeah, I think the babyfaces win here with FTR and Wardlow, and again we can move on to a match I actually am intrigued by. This 8-man casino ladder match. And I believe the winner does get an eventual shot at the AEW World title. The people in this match so far are Andrade El Idolo, the ROH World Champion Claudio Castagnoli, upstart Dante Martin, Penta El Zero Miedo, and Rey Fenix, the Lucha Bros, Rush, who is Andrade's tag team partner, Wheeler Yuta, the ROH Pure Champion, who's been excellent lately, and of course the 8th person is a Joker. I think this will be an excellent ladder match. Like, this is definitely one match that I am looking forward to, that I think is worthy of the pay-per-view. You got a good mixture of, high-flying talent in this match. You got Andrade El Idolo, we all know is awesome. Rush, still getting to know him, but he seems to have a little bit of something to him. Dante Martin, I love Dante. Especially recently, that match he had with Sammy Guevara was unbelievable. Claudio Castagnoli, we all know how happy I am to see him in AEW and getting the respect he deserves. He probably would have if he stayed with WWE right now, but of course he didn't know at the time, so he's in a place he belongs right now. Wheeler Yuta, again, has improved drastically. He's on the verge of being like the breakout star of the year, in my opinion. And we all know how awesome Rey Fenix and Penta El Zero and Miedo are, especially in ladder matches. Last year, of course, they had that classic of a steel cage match with the Young Bucks, where they won the AEW World Tag Titles and held them for a few months before dropping those to Jurassic Express's Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy. Again, that was excellent there as well. But the winner, I think, will be the Joker. And who could the Joker be? Well, I have a couple people it could be. For starters, maybe, the least likely, maybe it's Sammy Guevara. Yeah, I think Sammy would mesh in very well with the high-flying style in this match. He doesn't have a match right now, but he may not have a match. What did they bring back? John Morrison, Johnny Elite, who's made an occasional appearance here and there in AEW. It could be him. My also thoughts are maybe it could be W. Morrissey, who they just brought in on Wednesday night. Maybe this could be, a way to kind of get him something going as well, as they teased him as kind of like the single star for Stokely Hathaway's stable he's secretly building. So he could be a valid choice as well. Who my top three are? I would say my number 3 is Bray Wyatt, or Wyatt 6. He could still come to AEW. I think by this weekend we may know, well, if he's not at Clash at the Castle tomorrow, there may be a chance Bray Wyatt could still be showing up in AEW. Because like we said recently, Tony Khan did mention that Claudio Castagnoli was originally supposed to debut at the ROH, the last ROH pay-per-view, and still dethrone Jonathan Gresham to become the ROH World Champion. He was supposed to debut there. They had him signed for a while, but then when Bryan Danielson went down, they brought him in to face Zack Sabre Jr. instead. So they had him for a while. So they may have had Bray Wyatt signed for a while. They're just waiting for the right opportunity for him. So that could be the case. My second choice is MJF. Now, here's the very biggest thing, and I'll say this right now. If MJF does not return in this ladder match, or if he does not return after the main event, then I can definitely more believe there could be a chance MJF may not be back in AEW. And he could be heading to WWE. That is if he does not show up on this show. I think this is the last shot for me right now to believe MJF could still be in AEW, or maybe he did for real leave. But I think he's my second pick. Number 1, Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe has not really been, I don't think he's been seen on, well, I know he had the match with Adam Cole for the Owen Hart Cup Finals at Double or Nothing. And he had his match with Jay Lethal at the Ring of Honor pay-per-view. So, he could be a nice surprise for this ladder match. Because other than that, I have no clue who else it could be. But those are the few I think could be the Joker. I think no matter what happens, I think the Joker is winning it. Just my opinion. I mean, because who I think is going to win the main event, we've seen him fight several people. I mean, they could pit, if it was like Moxley or Punk, they could have a great match with Claudio Castagnoli. Dante would be quite an upset. Andrade and Rush wouldn't be too bad either. I mean, I'd rather have Andrade than Rush because I'm more familiar with Andrade. But we'll see. But my pick is, in fact, the Joker, and my number 1 pick right now for the Joker is Samoa Joe. So we got that match that I'm looking forward to. Next up is another match that's definitely worthy for this card. The TBS Women's Championship. Jade Cargill, undefeated, taking on Athena, as this has been built since Revolution? When did Athena debut? I can't remember when she debuted. Was it at Revolution or was that Double or Nothing? I can't remember. One of the pay-per-views. So anyways, I keep thinking that the TBS title seems to be, I know it's more of like a mid-card title for the women's division, but I feel like it's also a title that you can put on someone to help them grow. Like someone who may not be ready for the main event scene yet, but someone that can become a star by growing with a championship. That's how I felt about Jade Cargill's run. And, of course, with the stacked roster again, Athena has had a couple matches, but I feel like she hasn't had as many as I would like to have seen right now to build up, some serious momentum. Because she definitely could easily, if you give her more TV time, you could easily make her a women's world champion. Get the main event championship on her. But I think if there's someone that deserves more TV time right now to build up, it's definitely Athena. So I think it's been teased since she first walked in the door. I think this will be the show where Athena dethrones Jade Cargill and becomes the new TBS champion. It's time to put it on someone else. Again, Jade Cargill has benefited from this run. She's definitely improved. I think now if there's someone else who needs her time to build up her star power in the company, definitely Athena. Like I said, I know they probably were resistant to bring her in for a while because of how stacked the roster is. And yes, the women's division still has not had too many stars that have really developed too much because, they've obviously have given them a lot of time to Britt and Thunder Rosa, of course. But, of course, Thunder Rosa's gone, so you got to focus on more people, too, right now. So I think Athena should win the TBS women's title on Sunday. That's one title change I think will happen. Next up is another match I'm actually excited about, which is Bryan Danielson versus Lionheart, Chris Jericho. I've said this many times. I really think these guys, besides that NXT match they had back in 2010, I don't think these two have ever crossed paths in a one-on-one match before, as far as I know. Unless it's on an episode of Raw or SmackDown, like back in 2012 or something. I don't know. I have not really seen these two cross paths. And I like how they've added in a more interesting element. I mean, yes, this is kind of a follow-up from the Anarchy in the Arena at Double or Nothing, whenever Hager and Jericho choked out Bryan Danielson to get the victory at that show. So there's kind of that there. But again, I also like the story that they've done with Bryan Danielson and Daniel Garcia, basically having Garcia lose in the strongest way possible in that 2 out of 3 falls match after getting a singles victory in Bryan Danielson's return at Fight for the Fallen. And obviously, Garcia's had a for real dream, because we've all heard in interviews that Daniel Garcia's hero growing up was in fact Bryan Danielson. Of course, he's been my hero too since I first started watching wrestling 9 years ago. It's been that long, actually. So that realism and having, Daniel Garcia torn, he has his mentor in Chris Jericho, but he's also enjoying the fact that he's getting his praise from Bryan Danielson as well, his hero. He's sharing a moment he always wanted. So I know some people think Chris Jericho is going to get the victory here, and Daniel Garcia will, go back to Chris Jericho. Honestly, I'm going opposite. I say Bryan wins, and Daniel Garcia officially turns and leaves the Jericho Appreciation Society. Get him, again, like I said, I realize in the talent, but I just think they got to get him away from 2.0. I really do. I mean, I know Jericho picked them to keep them together, but like I said, I'm not a fan of 2.0 at all. Daniel Garcia, again, has taken a little bit to grow on me, but he is growing on me more, especially after that 2 out of 3 falls match. But I think Bryan wins, and Daniel Garcia joins the Blackpool Combat Club, in my opinion. So, we got that match. What do we got next? Next match should be decent. I would say it's decent, but I'm not super duper excited about it. But it'll be decent. Because I think they could have done better with this. But we've got Swerve in Our Glory, the tag team champions, Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland, taking on Max Caster and Anthony Bowens of the Acclaimed for the AEW Tag Team Championships. The only reason why this match is happening is because I believe it was the Young Bucks, or whoever it was. Yeah, the Young Bucks, whoever ranked higher, was in the Trios Tag Title Tournament. So they went with the next closest ranked person, the Acclaimed. I know the Acclaim that become more popular, especially with their rap entrances and, shooting, on certain superstars and people in and outside the business that have really got the attention and whatnot. Some risky things have done. They're definitely a team on the rise, the Acclaimed. Can I see them becoming tag champions right now? No, and that's the problem I have with this match. I think it's way too obvious. I don't see them dethroning Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland. So I think they're going to retain, but I think that we're going to start seeing more cracks being formed with Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee. We had a tease a couple months ago, and then they won the tag titles. But I think you still got to throw in those heads here and there that, who's going to be the one to eventually be the heel. And that, I believe, for a fact, should definitely be Swerve Strickland. But I keep saying I do enjoy the tag team of Swerve in Our Glory. Like I said, the way they wrote the story with Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page was beautiful. And I think if you want to do that again, which not completely duplicated, but do that experiment again with another tag team with two, guys with humongous single potential, I think Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland is the best way to go. It'll be decent, though, this match. It won't be anything that special, in my opinion. Swerve and Our Glory will retain. They probably just wanted... A lot of people think that they should have gone with FTR winning the AEW World Tag Titles here, but I don't know, I guess they wanted to at least have Swerve and Our Glory have a little bit more of a reign, which is why FTR didn't take on them here. Even though it would make sense, I'm pretty sure they're the number one ranked tag team because of how hot they are this year. FTR for sure. So there's that match. Then we got the next match, which will address rumors here. Miro teaming up with Darby Allin and Sting, taking on the House of Black. Malachi Black, Brody King, and Buddy Matthews. So first, let me address some rumors I was hearing. Apparently today, there was a rumor that someone in AEW requested for their release but was denied. And that person apparently was, in fact, Malachi Black. When I first heard that, I thought at first it was because, it's starting a trend. It's a full roster, yes, he's talented. Yes, his stable is awesome. But they're kind of stuck in the same spot. Like, the build to this feud was like, you got something new from him like every other week, every 3 weeks. Like, it was, or every 2 weeks. It wasn't, I mean, this should be a good match, but the build wasn't 100% smooth. It was rushed when it got the opportunities. And again, like I said, it is because there's just too much talent and not enough time right now. But no, the reason why Malachi originally asked for his release was because he wanted to take some time off to focus on his mental health and himself spiritually. Which, okay, I get that. But I guess cooler heads did prevail, smoothing out. He still has 4 years left on his 5-year contract he had signed with them last year. So I guess he is sticking around a little bit longer. I definitely think that team will be a great threat for the trios tag titles. Definitely give them a run of some sorts because Malachi Black definitely should have been a champion by now. But yeah, I think personally, I think House of Black should win this. I know this is Miro's first pay-per-view match back in how long since Full Gear last year. Yes, it has Darby Allin and Sting in the match. But I think House of Black should win this one. Have House of Black win by pinning Darby Allin, I would say. You don't have to pin Sting, and you don't have to pin Miro either. Just another random tag match. It's a little more intriguing than Wardlow and FTR versus Jay Lethal and the Machine Gun, the Motor City Machine Gun Club, whatever the heck they're called. But it's a fine match. But again, I think the House of Black should come away with a victory at this match. Match number 9, Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs. I do like the idea that they're making Ricky Starks a babyface. They still have ways to go, though, to get more sympathy behind him, which is why I'm picking Powerhouse Hobbs to win this match. Powerhouse, still, he's improved. He's still not quite out of, the green forest yet. Still a little bit green. But he has improved. But, like I said, they just had a turn and that was it. I don't feel like these guys... this is a match that I may more so say this should have been more so of like a Dynamite match, in my opinion. It'll still be solid, I think, when it happens. But I think this should have been more of like a Dynamite match. But I think they should have Powerhouse Hobbs win this match. May get some involvement from the Factory, who knows? Because apparently Hobbs has like an alliance going with QT Marshall and the Factory and whatnot. I don't care about this stable whatsoever, so we'll see. But I think Powerhouse Hobbs gets the win here over Ricky Starks. Match number 10 is the Fatal 4-Way for the interim Women's World Championship. Toni Storm, Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter, and Hikaru Shida. The plans for this women's title has been so back and forth, and so much drama has gone on with the women's title and with Thunder Rosa. First, we hear, of course, that Thunder Rosa was not happy with how she's being booked. I agree, she was not featured on TV much at all. But they did try giving her some more time after that, which they tried, but, And then there's people like Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker who do not like Thunder Rosa. As there are a couple of people and a few others who think Thunder Rosa works too stiff. And not only that, we just had Tony Khan state in an interview recently that he wants more time for CM Punk to get somewhere along the line, like, I'd rather have an 8-minute promo of CM Punk and a 30-second promo of Thunder Rosa. So definitely something like that would definitely, discourage your women's world champion for sure. If you want to, say basically that she's not a draw. But of course, obviously, Thunder Rosa, has the determination instinct to her where she wants to prove she can be the best. So I don't blame her. But originally this was supposed to be Thunder Rosa versus Chris Statlander. Chris Statlander, though, suffered a knee injury. She's going to be out for quite a while. So then, of course, with the ranking system, it was going to be Toni Storm facing Thunder Rosa, because she was the next ranked woman under Chris Statlander. Which, okay, but we've seen the match already at Forbidden Door. And it was a great match. But, I keep saying this. I love Toni Storm. I don't feel like, though, she's quite at the level, though, she needs to be yet, though, to be women's champion. But then, of course, Thunder Rosa got hurt. Now it's a fatal 4-way to crown an interim women's world champion. Now, I know a lot of people think it's going to be Britt. I think, there's a good chance it could be Britt also. Because I can't see Jamie Hayter winning it. I can't see Hikaru Shida winning it. The rumors, though, have it. And this is why I'm going to stick with it. Rumors have it that, again, even though I don't agree that she's quite at the level she needs to be at yet for a women's champion, I still think they're going to put the belt on Toni Storm. Because that's what the original plans. They're going to have Toni... sorry, I'm itchy on my back right now. They're going to have Toni dethrone Thunder Rosa if she was still healthy. I don't know. I just feel like, if it wouldn't be right to give it to Britt, because a lot of people are starting to feel like Britt is already treated like she's a favorite and whatnot, and I get that. She is awesome, but it's not the time to put the title back on her yet. So I think it's going to be Toni winning it. But I could be wrong. We'll have to wait and see. Next match number 11, is one of the match I'm very excited about. Jungle Boy Jack Perry. Although you say you're not fighting Jungle Boy, you're fighting Jack Perry, taking on Christian Cage. This has been an excellent build, with Jungle Boy getting written off TV for like a month, to Christian getting Luchasaurus by his side, to then Luchasaurus going back to Jungle Boy, And of course, the crazy shenanigans Jungle Boy's done trying to get his hands on Christian Cage. And when he finally did, of course, it was explosive, which happened like 2 weeks ago, I think it was. Although this is still a tough decision, I feel like they could go another mile with this feud. That's why I think either by some sort of like minor heel tactic, don't not too big and make him look too weak, but through like a sneaky heel tactic, or having Luchasaurus turn on Jungle Boy again. I think Christian Cage wins this match here. I want to see this match eventually get to like a lights out, no holds barred match, or some sort of like Extreme Rules match or something. I think with how personal this feud has gotten, you can take it to a whole nother level and continue this feud after the pay-per-view, and Jungle Boy gets his full revenge on Christian Cage by, again, like some sort of like physical weapons type match, even like a no DQ or something. But that would be quite spectacular if they did go with that. But yes, I think Christian Cage will win here, but Jungle Boy will eventually get his win back. So that's that match. What's next? Now this one was made official, of course, before I went live. But as I predicted, and it's happening, we're going to be getting, for the Trios Tag Title Tournament Finals, it's going to be the Elites, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, versus the Dark Order, with Alex Reynolds, John Silver, and former AEW World Champion as well, Hangman Adam Page, in the finals for the Trios Tag Titles Tournament. I really think this could be a match of the night contender. It's definitely interesting, having Hangman Adam Page, get involved after several people from Dark Order went down to enter, such as 10, Evil Uno. So, we had to have Hangman Adam Page step in, even though he said he originally wanted to be in, which is why he turned down the Young Bucks offer. Of course, the Young Bucks went out and got Kenny Omega and whatnot. So they, got him back. But it's very obvious the Elite's winning this. If it wasn't for Hangman Adam Page, Dark Order probably would not have gotten as far as they did either, unfortunately, in my opinion. But the Elite win. Now, I'm hoping still this leads to a match with the Undisputed Elite, Adam Cole and Red Dragon. The problem is apparently, as of August 31st, AEW chose not to renew Bobby Fish's contract, and he's now a free agent. Now, I'm still hoping he's able to, take like a booking here and there and finish up what they started with the Undisputed Elite and the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, because he wanted to get that match for the Trios Tag Titles probably at the next pay-per-view, or just for a match on, Dynamite in general or whatnot. And of course, even helped lead to a match eventually one-on-one between Kenny Omega and Adam Cole, which would be a instant classic, I believe so. But yeah, the big problem is that Bobby Fish is now a free agent. So I said he could, take a couple extra bookings or whatever, or he could be done. Because remember this too, Bobby Fish is 45 years old. O'Reilly and Cole are like in their early to mid 30s. So he could be heading out the door though, which is why, or he could be getting ready to head, maybe why that's why AEW didn't re-sign him. Which I'm surprised, especially if we have like the perfect match coming up for the Trios Tag Titles. So yeah, I think this is pretty obvious. The Elite is going to win this match. Next up, filler match all the way. Pac and the returning Kip Sabian for the AEW All Atlantic Championship. Do you care about this match? No, just a little bit like a breather match, a bathroom break match. I love Pac. I'm glad he's, going around the world defending the title. But does anyone really give a crap about Kip Sabian? Not me. Pac squashed, then we move on to the main event. The main event, Jon Moxley, CM Punk for the AEW World title. Of course, Punk was probably supposed to come into this pay-per-view as AEW World Champion. Unfortunately, a foot injury caused him to have to go out for a while. And Jon Moxley became interim AEW World Champion. But of course, he absolutely hated it. We all know how iffy the build has been for this match. again, probably desperate for viewers. Having that match happen in Cleveland a couple weeks ago, and then book it the way it did, just let the salty taste in fans' mouths, who gave Moxley mixed reactions on this past Wednesday of Dynamite. But yeah, like I said, they definitely didn't quite build for this right. They really could have just waited until the pay-per-view to have the match, in my opinion. Just what I thought. My opinion. I think Punk, of course, retained here, because they've really, especially this past week, they've really, really tried putting a lot of heat on Jon Moxley, and all the sympathy they could on CM Punk to get like that big hometown reaction with him winning the title for a second time in his hometown. Now, I know a lot of people thought he would turn heel. I think, though, it's about him turning heel is, again, we're trying to do it in Chicago. If it was anywhere else, I'm like, go for it. But again, we're in Chicago. You think Chicago's going to want to boo Punk? You know, just saying. But I think he is going to win, and afterwards, if he doesn't come out during the Casino Battle Royale, MJF has to return here. He has to. If he doesn't return at All Out, I'm just going to assume that he's not coming back at all, in my opinion. That's All Out. Like I said, we're going to go through this real quick, and I'm going to remove the matches that really, really don't need to be on the card. Let me just see what I can do here. These definitely, that were 12 matches. 10. 9. 8. Let me see here. Yeah. Here are my 8 matches that I have that I could say are worthy for this pay-per-view. The buy-in match with Eddie Kingston and Tomohiro Ishii. The Casino ladder match. Jade Cargill and Athena. Danielson and Jericho. I'll give an exception for House of Black, Sting, Darby Allin, and Miro. The women's world title match. Jungle Boy and Christian Cage. The Elite and the Dark Order. And Moxley versus Punk. So that's 9 matches, actually. Okay. Maybe take out Eddie and Tomohiro to make it 8, but again, that's still 5 or 6 matches that you really did not need, in my opinion. But I'm pretty sure a lot of those will be going pretty short on Sunday. But we will just have to wait and see. But yep, Tyler mentions most of that I mentioned before, but that is my live preview and predictions for AEW All Out 2022. Again, expectations are low. They could surprise me, who knows. But again, I'm not getting my hopes up that this is going to be a good show. I really think at most it could be solid. It's not going to be anywhere close to what last year's show was. But we'll just have to wait and see what surprises come our way, and if they do go for them new people. We'll have to wait and see. But guys, that does it. That's my preview and predictions for AEW All Out 2022. I'm going to take a quick shower. May come back afterwards and review SmackDown tonight. If not, I will do that first thing tomorrow. But if not, then either way, I will have all I want to get done before the 2 pay-per-views this weekend. And of course, next weekend, I will need some time, of course, try to get caught up, because I won't be able to review both pay-per-views this weekend. But again, we'll have to roll with it and see what happens. So guys, once again, what are your thoughts on my AEW All Out 2022 preview and predictions? Make sure to leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. Be sure as always to slap a like on the video and subscribe for more content on my channel. And follow me on Twitter as well at DemandAirboy93. And until then, guys, check it out. I'll catch you all later. Have a great rest of your night. Peace out, everybody.